Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I apologize for keeping you waiting. I don't know whether any of you had a bit more difficult time getting up this morning than you did last week with the change in time. Hopefully you had a good weekend. I think we are ready to get started. I apologize again for keeping you waiting this morning. Mr. Bull.
Your Honor, at this time, the state offers Exhibit 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18 through 25, Exhibit 39, through 107 is Exhibit 137, 138, 139, 141, 144, 145 through 155.
Ms. Branstad.
Your Honor, I was unaware the state was going to offer those right this moment. I am going to ask to go through those numbers one more time.
If you would be so kind, Mr. Bull.
Your Honor, Exhibit 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 39, through 107, 126, 127, 137, 138, 139, 141, 144 through 155.
I think you added a couple exhibits that time through, Mr. Bull, but
Your Honor, it wasn't my intention, but if
any objections, Ms. Branstad?
Your Honor, no objection to Exhibit 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, Your Honor, I believe there's no objection to Exhibit 17, but I would need to see Exhibit 17. Same thing with Exhibit 18, as long as I can view those. No objection to Exhibit 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 137, 138, 139, 141, 144, 146, 147, 148, 149, 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, and 155.
Very well. I am not going to go through that entire list of numbers again. All of the exhibits to which the defendant voiced no objection are hereby admitted. Evidence or testimony on behalf of the defendant or of the state, Mr. Ball.
The state will call Officer Justin Keller, Your Honor.
If I can get you to raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated. Going to ask that you speak up, speak into the microphone. If you would, please state your full name for the record. Spell your last name.
Justin Keller. It's Keller.
Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Keller, what do you do for a living?
I'm currently serving as a patrol sergeant at the Indianola Police Department
How long have you been with the Indianola Police Department?
for 14 years.
Did you have any law enforcement experience before joining the Indianola Police Department?
Yes, I had approximately 10 months at the Knoxville Police Department.
Can you tell us about your educational background?
I have a 4-year criminal justice degree, as well as nearly completing a master's in criminal justice and public administration. I also attended the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy and graduated from that in 2004.
And are you a certified peace officer?
Yes, I am.
Have you had any additional training as a law enforcement officer?
Yes, I have.
And can you explain to the jury some of that training?
Yes, I've served as both on patrol as well as in detective role. And so during my time as a detective, I went through several trainings for investigations, interviews, and interrogations. I also was a member of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, and so I went through numerous computer-related trainings, computer investigations, cell phone investigations, and other trainings related specifically to that.
Now, were you asked to assist in the investigation of Shirley Carter's death?
Yes, I was.
And what specifically were you asked to do?
I was asked to conduct cell phone forensic examinations.
Okay. Do you know why you were asked to conduct those examinations?
It's common in criminal investigations now to conduct examinations of cell phones just because there's a lot of data that can be retrieved that can help determine timelines and provide valuable information to investigators.
Now, just to back up, was the Indianola Police Department otherwise involved in this investigation?
No.
How is it that you came to be asked to assist?
As an affiliate of the Iowa Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, the state of Iowa had provided us with a device known as a Cellbrite, which is what we use to conduct those cell phone forensic examinations. As an agreement with the state providing us with that device, we agreed to assist surrounding agencies with investigations specifically related to cell phone forensics. Has the potential of being able to be extracted by the cell.
You mentioned phone call data can be pulled. Would that data include date and time a phone call was made or received by the cell phone?
Yes, it would.
Would it also include the phone number of the other phone involved in that transaction?
Yes.
Would it include duration of phone calls?
Yes, it does.
And with respect to text message data, would the data include the date and time that text messages are sent and received?
Yes.
And would it also give you data on the other phone number involved in those messages?
Yes, it would provide that phone number as well.
And does the data include the content of those text messages?
Yes, it does.
You also mentioned emails. Does the data include any email addresses associated with the phone?
Yes, it can also include that information.
Now, have you received specific training on Cellbrite examinations?
Yes, I did.
Can you just briefly describe that training?
Yes, I went through the basic training in 2012, May of 2012 for the Cellbrite, and then again in November of 2012 I went through the advanced physical extraction training.
So are you qualified to conduct Cellbrite examinations?
Yes.
Did you conduct Cellbrite examinations in this case?
Yes, I did.
Did you conduct a Cellbrite of Jason Carter's primary cell phone?
Yes, I did.
What type of cell phone was that?
It was a Samsung Galaxy S4.
Would that be a smartphone?
Yes, it would be commonly referred to as a smartphone.
And did you extract all the data you could based on the level of support for that phone?
Yes.
And did that data include phone call data?
Yes.
When you conducted a Cellbrite of his primary cell phone, did it generate a report?
Yes, it did.
Have you reviewed that report?
Yes, I have.
Prior to 11:08 a.m. on June 19, 2015, how many phone calls were made or received by Jason Carter's primary cell phone?
It looked like there was 3 phone calls that were made on the primary cell phone.
Did the data you extracted include text message data?
Yes, it did.
And prior to 11:08 a.m. on June 19, 2015, how many text messages were sent or received by Jason Carter's primary cell phone?
There were 13 messages.
Did the extracted data include any email addresses associated with that phone?
Yes.
How many email addresses were associated with that phone?
No, I don't recall the exact number. I know of at least one email address that was associated with the phone.
And what was that email address?
It was carterfarmsiowa@gmail.com, which would be a Google email account.
Did you also conduct a Cellbrite examination of Jason Carter's second cell phone?
Yes, I did.
What type of cell phone was that?
It was an LG Envoy 3 cell phone.
Would that be what would be considered a smartphone?
No, it would not. It would be a flip-style phone.
When you say a flip style phone, do you mean a phone with just the 9 buttons that you have to push multiple times to type a letter?
Yeah, so it'd just have the button keypad that you'd have to actually push the buttons to type.
And again, did you extract all the data that you could based on the level of support for that phone?
Yes, I did.
And did that extracted data include cell phone or phone call data?
Yes.
Prior to 11:08 a.m. on June 19, 2015, did Jason Carter's second cell phone make or receive any phone calls?
No.
And did you also extract text message data?
Yes, I did.
Prior to 11:08 a.m. on June 19, 2015, did Jason Carter's second cell phone send or receive any text messages?
Yes.
How many text messages were sent and received by that cell phone?
There's approximately 60 messages.
Were these messages to or from multiple numbers?
No, they were not.
Was all the text communication by that second cell phone on the morning of June 19, 2015 with only one other cell phone?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Handing you what's been marked for identification purposes, State's Exhibit 37. Let me take a look at that.
Okay.
What is that?
This appears to be cell phone records provided by a cell phone provider.
Do you know who the cell phone provider is?
I believe it was U.S. Cellular.
And do you know what cell phone those records are for?
This would be for the Samsung Galaxy S4, the primary phone.
Have you reviewed those records?
Yes, I have.
Are those records consistent with what you observed in the Cellbrite reports?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, the State would move to admit Exhibit 37.
Any objections?
May I take a quick look at Exhibit 37?
You may.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 37 is admitted.
I'm handing you now what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 38. Can you take a look at that? What is that?
These would be the cell phone records for the LG Envoy 3, the second phone.
And have you reviewed those records?
Yes, I have.
And are those records consistent with the data you observed on your Cellbrite report?
Yes.
Your Honor, the State would move to admit Exhibit 38.
No objection.
Exhibit 38 is admitted.
I want to shift gears a little bit and talk to you about the email address that was associated with the primary cell phone. Were you asked to review records related to that email account?
Yes, I was.
Are you familiar with Google or Gmail records?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach again?
You may.
Any of it's been marked for identification purposes as states Exhibit 10. What is that?
These would be records received from Google related to the email account, Carter Farms, Iowa.
And are these the Gmail records you have reviewed?
Yes, they are.
Do these records include a certificate of authenticity from Google?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state would move to admit Exhibit 10.
Your Honor, may I voir dire the witness for the purpose of founding my objection?
You may.
Officer Keller, did you obtain those records did you personally obtain those records?
No, I did not.
And did you obtain the credentials let me start, your search of the Samsung Galaxy phone was with the consent of Jason Carter, is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Did you have the credentials for the Gmail account at that time?
What do you mean, the credentials for the Gmail account?
The login information and password?
I did not know.
Did you request those?
I did not know.
And the certification is not notarized in front of you, is it?
No.
Your Honor, I object as to foundation.
Sustained.
Your Honor, may we approach?
You may.
I've had an opportunity to review some additional documentation. Exhibit 10 is admitted. Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Officer Keller, when was the Carter Farms Iowa at gmail.com account created?
According to these records, it was created May 15th of 2015.
Is there a name associated with that account?
Yes, there is.
And what is that name?
Jason Carter.
Are there any other names associated with that account?
No.
What IP address was used to create that account?
So the IP address at the time of creation was 166.181.80.205.
And just to back up for a second, what is an IP address?
An IP address is it's referred to as an Internet Protocol number. That is basically the address of the computer or device that is accessing a wireless network to gain internet service or data service.
And what provider owns that IP address?
So this was owned by a wireless service provider, which provides IP addresses to cell phone companies, mobile data companies.
So was the Gmail address created from a cell phone?
Yes, it would have been created from a mobile device, yes.
When was the account last logged into?
So according to the records, the account was last logged into July 1st of 2015.
And was there other login activity?
Yes, there were 2 other login activities noted in the records.
And when was the last search history event?
Looks like the last search history event would have been July 7th of 2015.
Do these records indicate any additional activity on this account?
The search records provide several dates and times related to search history between the time the account was created and the 7th of July.
No further questions at this time.
Cross-examination.
Within your Celebrate examination, were you able to obtain call detail records?
The call records with the Celebrate examination are limited to the date and time of the phone calls and the phone number and the duration of the calls. There's other information that can be provided through cell phone companies, which is what we refer to as detailed call records that would not be able to be retrieved from the Celebrate.
Let me make sure I know. You said you did an examination of the Samsung Galaxy X. What was the phone number associated with that?
I don't recall the phone number associated with that phone.
Would that be the same with regard to the LG Envoy?
Yes.
Cellbrite provides cloud analyzer, is that correct?
Yes, it does.
Did you make any attempt to do any of the analysis through Cloud Analyzer?
I don't believe, to my knowledge, I don't believe Cloud Analyzer was provided by Celebrate at that time. That wasn't something that I had conducted on any cell phone forensics that I had done at that time.
Do you remember when Cloud Analyzer became a tool that you started using?
I've never used Cloud Analyzer myself.
And just to be clear for the jury, Cloud Analyzer is a tool that allows you to get access additional analytics for a phone. Is that correct?
Yeah, from my understanding, yes.
It can include location data,
Yes, it could.
a more complete history of a phone,
Correct.
and location data.
Yes.
At no point did you attempt to obtain any of the login information from Mr. Carter, is that correct?
Correct.
And to your knowledge, did law enforcement retain the phone after you finished the analysis?
Yes, it was turned back over to the investigator.
I have no further questions.
Redirect, Mr. Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor. I just have a question about the Google records. Do those indicate whether the location data was turned off on the phone?
Let me refer to this here and see. The records state that there are no records available for location history.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything further, Ms. Brandstad?
That doesn't mean that the location data was turned off. That just means that there's no data available within this Cellphone extraction.
Not the Cellphone extract, the Google, this would be the Google records from Google.
So that doesn't mean that there wouldn't have been data as to location available had Cloud Analyzer been completed, correct?
Yeah, there could have been locations from other sources on the phone.
I have no further questions.
Anything further, Mr. Robinson?
No, Your Honor.
Sergeant Keller, thank you very much. You may step down. May this witness be excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are excused. Thank you. Further evidence or testimony on behalf of the state?
Yes, Your Honor. First, may I retrieve the exhibits?
You may.
Your Honor, the state of Iowa calls Melvin Hoch.
Sir, if you'll come right up here, please. Right up here. If I can get you to raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. I'm going to ask you to sit up, speak into that microphone, please, and if you would, state your full name for the record, spell your last name.
Melvin Hoch, Knoxville, Iowa.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to speak up. Let's see if that mic is turned on. Okay, try that one more time if you would, please.
Melvin Hoch, Knoxville, Iowa.
Still not working. Corrine?
Yes.
If we can have some assistance with the microphone.
Certainly.
Ah,
While I'm over here, I'm going to bring this down. It's a Monday morning.
now we're in business.
We are?
Yeah.
And Kareem, yeah, more than I'm very sorry that the exhibits are in the phone. Yes, they are. Thank you, I just thought of that.
We'll just leave it unlocked.
Okay, if, one more time, Mr. Hoch.
All right.
Wait.
Melvin Hoch, Knoxville, Iowa.
Just a minute now.
Good
Mr. Bull.
morning, sir.
Morning.
I'm going to ask you to try to speak directly into that microphone. It's important all of us hear you, okay?
Yep.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. I think you've told us a couple times you live in Knoxville, Iowa.
Yes.
Marion County?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know Jason Carter?
Yes.
How do you know Jason Carter?
By his dad, and he's a neighbor of mine, or out on the farm.
Have you known Jason as he was growing up?
No, it'd be later in life.
Okay. At some point, did you sell him the land that he built his home on?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall seeing Jason Carter's vehicle on June 19th, 2015?
Yes, I did.
Do you know what type of vehicle he drives?
A Chevrolet.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
Sir, I'm showing you what's been admitted as Exhibit 139. Is that Jason Carter's truck?
Yes.
When you saw his truck, what were you doing?
Run a dozer, bulldozer, grading out dirt, leveling dirt.
Where were you at?
Newbolt Street.
Okay. Sir, would you recognize the general area if I showed you a map?
Yes.
Sir, I'm showing you what's been admitted as Exhibit 144. Does that look familiar to you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to continue to speak in the microphone.
Yes, it is.
Sir, do you think it would help you if you had an opportunity to see an enlargement of that exhibit?
Yes. Right there.
Okay, but let me ask the question first, sir. As it relates to Exhibit 144, is this simply a blow-up of Exhibit 144?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to show the blow-up to the jury?
You may.
So, sir, can you explain to the jury, based on your understanding of the roads and the like, where is on this map S45, the road that takes you from Pleasantville Y to Melcher, Dallas?
Right here.
Okay, well, let me back up for a second. Let me show it to you in a way that is facing you. Sir, when we talk about S45...
Oh, you're talking about the highway.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's right there.
Okay, so let me turn it around again. Where is S45 at?
Right there.
Okay. Now, you said you were on Newbolt Street. Which one's Newbolt Street?
This one right here.
Okay. You said you were working a dozer or a bulldozer. Where were you at?
About right in here.
Okay. Is that where you were when you saw Jason Carter's vehicle pass you?
Yes, it is.
Sir, I'm going to go ahead and hand you a sticker. Going to hand you a blue sticker. Can you please put that blue sticker where you were when you saw Jason Carter's vehicle?
Oh, them things are small. Let's see, it's about right in there.
Okay. Did you place the blue dot where you were standing when you saw Jason Carter's vehicle drive by?
Yes,
Now, sir, how long have you been driving on gravel?
all my life.
Sir, when Jason Carter went by you, based on your experience, what was the slowest he was going?
I would say 45 to 50, somewhere in there.
Did you, when you saw it was Jason, did you do anything?
I waved.
Could you tell if he ever waved back?
No, I could not tell you that.
Pass the witness.
Cross-examination.
When you saw Mr. Carter, did he appear to be driving normally?
Probably.
I have no further questions.
Anything further, Mr. Ball?
Sir, when you say probably, are you just referring to he was driving normal gravel speed?
That's what I would say.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Anything further, Ms. Branstad?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. You are excused, sir. Does either party intend to recall this witness?
No, sir.
No, Your Honor.
You are excused, Mr. Hook. Thanks.
And Your Honor, my microphone is not working. Could I inquire if the jury is able to hear me?
Apparently so. Further evidence on behalf of the state?
Your Honor, the state calls Tara Kauzlarich.
If you'll come forward, ma'am. If I can get you to raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. I'm going to ask that you speak right into this microphone here. Please state your full name for the record and spell slowly your
Okay.
last name.
Tara Jo Kauzlarich, and my last name is Kauzlarich.
Mr. Bull.
Ma'am, in the summer of 2015, did you have a different last name?
I did.
What was that name?
Hoch,
And how do you spell that?
Hoch.
Were you born a Hoch?
No.
Did you marry into the Hoch family?
Yes.
Now, you may have just passed a man named Melvin Hoch as he was walking out and you were walking in. Are you related to Melvin Hoch?
I believe he's a distant relative of my ex-husband.
And we may in the future meet a man named Jason Hoch. Is there any connection there?
Jason would have been my ex-husband's first cousin.
In the summer of 2015, did you know Jason Carter?
I did.
Do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you tell us what he's wearing?
A black suit and tie.
Your Honor, may the record so reflect the witness has identified the defendant?
It may.
When was the last time you spoke to Jason Carter?
It would have been the day that Shirley was murdered.
When was the last time you ever texted with Jason Carter?
That same day.
On June 19, 2015, were you married?
I was.
Was Jason Carter married?
Yes.
Were you married to each other?
No.
Did you trust Jason Carter?
I did.
Did you share personal details of your life with him?
Yes.
Prior to June 19, 2015, how long had you known Jason Carter for?
I probably met Jason shortly after I started working at Motor Inn of Knoxville, which would have been about the first part of October 2012.
So you worked at Motor Inn in Knoxville and Mr. Carter worked at Motor Inn of Knoxville?
Yes.
Did you feel like he shared personal information about his life with you?
Yes.
Can you give us an example of one of the types of personal information he shared with you?
We talked about financial situations. We talked about our families. Just any types of stresses, I guess, that we had going on in our lives.
Now you mentioned financial. Did Mr. Carter ever talk to you about financial concerns he had?
The only concern was just the line of credit possibly not being renewed.
And when did he express concerns that his line of credit might not be renewed?
It would have been spring of that same year that Shirley was murdered.
On June 19th of 2015, did you communicate with Jason Carter?
Yes.
How did you usually communicate with Jason Carter?
Most of the time by text message.
Do you know how many phones Jason Carter had?
2 that I knew of.
Did you communicate with him on his primary phone or his secondary phone?
Secondary phone.
Did you also ever create an email account so that you and Jason Carter could just communicate back and forth with each other?
Yes.
And was that, in essence, you both could log in and save draft messages to the email?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Were you texting Jason Carter on the morning of June 19, 2015?
Yes.
Approximately what time, give or take, did the texting start?
Probably between like 7:30 and 8 a.m.
Was that fairly normal?
Yeah, that would be typical.
Prior to June 19th, how often did you text Jason Carter?
Every day,
Did you text in the morning?
typically.
Did you text in the afternoon?
Most of the time.
Did you text in the evening?
Sometimes.
At the conclusion of the night, how would you know that the two of you were done texting each other?
One of us would text goodnight or basically that we were done texting for the evening.
And did that in fact occur the night before on June 18th?
Yes.
On the morning of June 19th, how frequently did the two of you text?
It would have been back and forth quite a bit all morning.
Do you have any idea how many text messages you sent?
No, not something I usually keep track of.
At some point, did the conversation end?
Yes.
Now, had that occurred in the past?
Yeah.
And what would happen on your end that would cause you to no longer be texting Jason Carter?
Either an interruption from phone call, other messages, being around family where I couldn't, basically a situation where I wasn't able to message him.
And did Mr. Carter ever explain to you the same thing on his end?
Yes.
In the past, had there always been given an explanation either before or after why it was that the text messaging came to an end?
Yes.
Did that happen that morning?
No.
Did Mr. Carter provide you any notice that the communications were just going to end?
No.
Was your conversation that morning, without telling us any of the details, such that you expected it was at a logical stopping point.
No.
Prior to June 19th, 2015, were you aware if Jason Carter texted you while he was in his semi?
Yes.
Did he text you while he was in his personal vehicle, but none of his other family was around?
Yes.
Had he ever texted you after he dropped off his semi and he transitioned into his personal vehicle?
Yes.
On the morning of June 19th, 2015, did you continue to text Jason Carter after he didn't respond to your last message?
Yes.
Why?
Because I didn't think the conversation was over.
State passes the witness.
Sorry. I didn't think the conversation was over.
Your Honor, state passes the witness.
Ms. Branstad.
It wasn't unusual, though, to have gaps in your conversations.
No.
And was there anything unusual about the substance of your conversation on June 19th?
No.
Did you perceive in any way that Jason Carter was troubled on the morning of June 19th?
No.
Now, you said that you shared personal information. Did Jason Carter always speak positively about his mother?
Yes.
From what you could see, appeared to love his mother?
Yes.
Did you ever have any sense that he was angry or mad at his mother?
No.
In fact, would you say he was close to his parents?
Yes.
I think at one point you said the worst thing he ever said about his mother is he couldn't eat grilled cheese anymore because she made a lot of that when he grew up.
Yes.
Talked about finances. Did you work in a financial capacity?
Yes.
So when Jason Carter talked to you about dealing with his line of credit, did he appear to be under any great stress?
At first, yes.
And then did he appear to resolve that?
Yes.
And were you one of the people who explained to Jason that it's not that unusual for a credit line to be delayed?
Yes.
And if you found out that Jason Carter eventually gave up his phone, would that explain why there were no further texts?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Bull?
Ma'am, you're discussing financial stress. Now, without telling us any specific purchase involved, was the concern that he had that underwriters were taking a look at his line of credit?
Yes.
And was that because he was using his business line to make personal or individual purchases unrelated to his business?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. I believe this calls for speculation. I don't know that that is established within this witness.
Overruled. I think the witness responded yes to your question, Mr. Bull.
Your Honor, may we approach?
You may.
Ma'am, the last question Ms. Branstad asked was, is the fact that Mr. Carter's phone, if it has been taken away from him, does that explain the reason he hadn't contacted you? Do you recall that question?
Yes.
Was the nature of your relationship such that you expected that you would hear from him again?
Yes.
And you got asked about, was it uncommon for there to be times where text messaging was interrupted prematurely? Is that a
Yes.
fair statement?
Yes.
And did you have any reason to believe, based on anything that had been said that morning in your text messages, that that was a possibility?
No.
Nothing further.
Anything further, Ms. Branstad?
Would there also be gaps in communication if Jason was just working or unloading or changing vehicles?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Anything further, Mr. Bull?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. May this witness be excused. Mr. Bull?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Branstad, may this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are excused, ma'am. Thank you very much. Further evidence on behalf of the the state. Excuse me, Mr. Bull.
Not a problem, Your Honor. Do you wish to take a morning break?
We'll wait a little while.
Yes, sir. Your Honor, the state calls Shannon Ritter.
Right up here, if you would, please. If I can get you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. You are rather soft-spoken, so I'm going to ask that you speak directly into that microphone. If you would, please state your full name and spell your last name.
Shannon Renee Ritter. Last name is Ritter.
Thank you, and really talk into that mic, please.
I will.
Mr. Bull.
Actually, it'll be Mr. Robinson, Your Honor.
Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Your Honor. How are you currently employed?
I am a full-time employee of the Mercy Medical Center in Centerville, part-time jailer dispatcher for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, part-time dispatcher for the Marion County Sheriff's Office, and I instruct CPR and basic lifesaver courses for the Indian Hills Community College.
In June of 2015, how were you employed?
Full-time dispatcher for the Marion County Sheriff's Office in Knoxville.
On June 19th, 2015, how long had you been with the Marion County Sheriff's Office?
3 weeks.
And did you have any experience before joining the Marion County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, over 3 years previously with the Appanoose County and Monroe County Sheriff's Offices.
Can you describe the training you received to be a dispatcher?
You have to have a high school diploma or equivalent. You also have to have certifications for the state of Iowa to be able to obtain certain information from the state. You also have to have a 40-hour basic training for a telecommunicator course, which is provided through the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy.
And what are your duties and responsibilities as a dispatcher in Marion County?
As a dispatcher, we greet the public as they walk into our building. We also receive information from the public from the telephone, whether it be emergency phone calls or non-emergency phone calls. We receive that information, and as we receive it, we put it into a computer system, into a call for service is what we refer to it as. We take that information and prioritize that. We also allocate our resources, whether it be law enforcement, fire, or medical services, as to who needs to respond to that call for service. We then use a radio system to determine, to page out and alert the apparatuses or the units that need to respond, and also provide them the priority in which they need to respond. We use that radio to continue communication with them throughout their call for service, and also continue to log information for them, such as the times that they are paged to the call, arrive on scene, and continue to document items for them for their call for service.
How many agencies does the Marion County Dispatch Center cover?
We cover 23 separate agencies.
Now, on June 19th of 2015, were you on duty as a dispatcher in Marion County?
Yes, I was.
And did you receive a 911 call that day from Jason Carter?
Yes, I did.
What time did you receive that 911 call?
At approximately 11:11 a.m.
Your Honor, may we now play the 911 call that has previously been admitted as State's Exhibit 11?
You may.
Where is your emergency?
Yeah, I need an ambulance, man.
Okay, to what address?
132 Perry Street. It's Bill Carter, and I'm his son. My mom was laying here on the floor. Where she's dead. I don't know what happened.
Okay, how old's your mother?
What?
How old is your mother, Bill?
I think she's 67.
Okay, is she inside the house or outside?
She's laying here on the kitchen floor.
Okay, and this is... Okay, Bill, I'm sending an ambulance to you. Let me double check the address. So 132 Perry Street in Pleasantville, correct?
It's Lacona, Iowa.
It's in Lacona?
132 Perry Street, Lacona.
Okay. Okay, so what's your...
It's 2 hours. I don't get what happened. There's a hole through the floor in the refrigerator. I don't know what she was trying to... I don't get what happened.
You said there's a hole through the floor in the refrigerator?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's lying in a pool of blood. She's still alive. I'll get it. She's walked in.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and send the officers and deputies and the ambulance to the house there so we can help you, okay?
Okay.
They're already on the way, okay? It'll be just a moment here, okay?
Okay.
All right, Bill, I'm going to go ahead and let you go.
Bye.
Bye.
Further questions, Mr. Robinson?
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, in that phone call, you referred to the caller as Bill. Why was that?
At the beginning of the call, I heard him refer to what I now understand to be Bill Carter's residence. At the time of the call, I heard it's Bill Carter, and I picked up on that as being the person I was speaking to.
Now, in response to that 911 call, was rescue dispatched?
Yes, it was.
Was law enforcement also dispatched?
Yes, they were.
And was that done over the radio traffic?
Yes, they were.
Now, when you dispatch rescue or law enforcement to a 911 call, do you wait for the 911 call to end before sending units?
When possible, we try to do that simultaneously. My partner or another dispatcher would be able to dispatch them while one person is still on the 911 call.
In this case, was rescue and law enforcement dispatched while you were still on the 911 call?
Yes, they were.
In addition to taking this 911 call on June 19th, were you also monitoring all the emergency radio traffic in Marion County?
Yes, I did.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Thank you. I'm handing you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 12. Tell us what that is.
This is a thumb drive that contains the radio traffic from June 19th, 2015. Radio traffic begins with the initial page for rescue for this particular call and ends with the sheriff arriving on scene.
And if you listen to that
Yes, I have.
And when you listen to that, are there periods of dead air?
Yes, there are.
What is that?
The periods of dead air, or what you're not hearing anyone speaking on this, are moments where the units or the people on the actual ambulance or in the law enforcement vehicles are not talking to dispatch, and dispatch are not talking back to them in those moments. The people driving are essentially getting themselves to the scene safely. Dispatch in those moments have been asked multiple times during this radio traffic to make several phone calls. We are also continuing with receiving daily business as usual. So we are busy doing multiple other tasks during the time frame that you're not hearing anyone speaking.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Brandt, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I think this might be a good stopping point. We're going to take about a 15-minute recess, and I want you to let me or Corrine or Lori know if 15 minutes is not long enough for these recesses. We're going to take about a 15-minute recess. During the recess, please remember the admonition I previously gave you. Keep an open mind. You certainly have not heard all of the evidence or testimony. Do not discuss the case even among yourselves. Do not allow yourself to be exposed to any media coverage of this trial. We will be at recess for about 15 minutes.